Hey everybody, you know what show this is. It is X's for Show, your favorite media response show. We are here to talk about some amazing global all-stars drag race edition. As for me, you can check me out, Nico Action, on all the social media at that.
And I'm TK. You can find me at TK Elemental.
I'm Jonah. You can find me places at Peak Jonah.
That makes me your producer, Kevo. You can find me at Kevo Really. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so that we know what you want us to cover in the future. But yeah, we've got a lot to talk about today, don't we, Boobies? Hi, Boobies.
Boobies. I really, for the record, one of the things that I thought was going to be so stupid about this episode was I was like, I was watching YouTube because it's my favorite channel, and I was watching some videos, and the video that came up was just the good verses from Oh No She Better Don't, and all I could think is, but that's a bad hook, so like it doesn't matter. And I kind of felt like it was possible that going into this, Boobies was going to be so stupid it wouldn't matter what the girls did. I think it's the opposite. I think they took something so stupid that I had a great time with this. This was probably my favorite episode of Global All-Stars so far.
Can I ask, do you remember which were the verses that they said were good from Oh No She Better Don't?
Wait, yeah, it was Ben, Bianca, Adore, Courtney, and and who am I forgetting?
Jocelyn,
thank you.
Laganja slander, how dare they? Oh,
well,
fine,
you know what?
whatever.
She was feeling really attacked that song.
No, her verse is really good. Anyway, this did turn out better than I had thought it was going to, for sure. I don't know, man. I'm just gonna keep saying it's all production's fault all the time, because they know what they're getting into when they do this. I feel like the girls don't. But yeah, I mean, this was definitely more fun than I thought it was going to be. But even still, there were moments where I was screaming at the television screen.
I can't blame you. Can't argue. There were definitely moments where I was like, I think not. I think not. So
I think if this had something going for it, it was the fact that it was three such different genres to be doing this joke in. I think that at least kept each one fresh. Sometimes with these acting challenges, especially ones where they kind of do almost literally the same scene like 6 times in a row, it genuinely becomes exhausting. But by being, horror sci-fi with the Franken Boobies, by being pirates with Boobies of the Caribbean, dinosaurs with Jurassic Boobies, like that actually made it not just the same exact joke every single time, even though it was the same style of joke the whole time.
Jurassic Boobies was probably one of my favorite things in the history of Drag Race, because Queen Kong has never made a mistake in her entire fucking life, including letting Spanky win season 2. Not that she did, because Spanky definitely earned that crown. One of my favorite winners of all time, bar none. Jonah, Jojo, I got a question. I got to know. This is one of the first episodes of Drag Race we have not watched together since starting this journey together. What was your barometer for this as we ramped into it?
So, unlike the people review bombing this episode, it's actually probably the best episode of All Stars so far.
What I said?
But I can't help shake the feeling that the wonderful title card photo that Kevo picked really is just kind of a harbinger to come. It's really... This was an episode where it really just kind of showed, oh, it's these Rue girls versus the rest of them. I'm not even sure.
Gap.
I'm not even sure why they blocked them like that. My only guess is that it would be someone would be blocking Rue's camera. That's where Rue's camera is. So
yeah,
clear for her.
Good call, Jonah.
When you said that gap, I thought you might have meant Tessa's teeth. I'm joking, just trying to be
Heidi's gap.
Heidi's gap, just in the grand tradition of as a guy with picket fence bottom teeth.
I thought for the most part all of the movies were good. For my money, I thought Boobies of the Caribbean was the best one. I thought overall that had the best coordination, the best cohesion. It was also, there's this problem where production wants to do one thing and the interns who are editing this, because it has to be interns, because stuff doesn't make sense. We hear them having a laugh riot after this movie, but after Jurassic Booby, Rue's not laughing. But then they win. The edit has to make sense with what the story you're trying to tell us, and it feels like we have two different groups at odds.
It's interesting because I genuinely thought it did look like Rue reacted really positively to Jurassic Booby. I don't know. I do also like. I want to say, just as somebody who has a corporate job, as do you, sir. Can't believe you think that only interns have no idea what they're doing. But I don't know. I want to I can't wait to go back a little bit further because we have to talk about the read on this. But
well, and I'll get into it because Jonah, I felt the same thing. I felt like they didn't show them laughing at Frank and Booby really, or at Jurassic Booby really, and then I also felt like they didn't really show that Kitty Scott Claus had the funniest read. That was a good read. That was a solid single joke that she used twice well.
Oh my God, I love a tight 10 seconds.
It's precisely like it's great for the reading challenge. These days, if you don't bomb the reading challenge, you succeeded.
That was my ex's nickname in college.
Get out of here. Get out of here. These days, if you don't bomb the reading challenge, you really did succeed. And I thought Kitty Scott Claus's joke was perfectly funny, but I thought other people got bigger, better reactions and actually had like a stronger joke overall, even if it was just one. I mean, Kitty got 2 in, but it was the same joke twice. Other people got 1 really strong joke in. A couple people had a strong 2. I just didn't feel like there was, and it's not like maybe she did win. Who knows? Maybe we didn't see the rest of them and they were really funny. That would be an odd editing choice as well. It just felt like in editing the energy of what happened, I in no way thought that Kitty won, even though I thought it was a perfectly fine read. And that did just kind of set up a whole thing where it was just like the vibe is off with the message.
And I think part of that for me actually goes a little bit deeper because like I no longer trust reads, in part because, and I hate to say it this way, but they all feel kind of stolen these days. And the thing is, like a girl will say, no, this was designed for me by 10 Yards Clothing. Or a girl will say, no, that song was written for me by Action Music. But girls don't tend to say, that joke was written for me by Peak Jonah Ha Ha Laugh Productions. They tend to say, there it is. They tend to, yeah, I mean, they which in and of itself, you should pay me for that joke. I feel a little bit like the art of telling a good joke has become how well do you crib something from TikTok, which for me isn't really attractive, and it really isn't the art of telling a good joke. Something that I really enjoyed, Jonah and I were working on some scripting recently, some jokes for a bit, and in the course of it, I made some, I thought like, I pitched him some stuff that I thought was so fucking funny that he should have dropped his phone on the ground and said to me, here you go, comedy award. But instead he said, I like mine more. And I had to be like, know your audience, man. He knows the audience better than I do. So he's right. It doesn't matter how funny I think I am. And I think some of these girls said the easiest way to do that is to just steal old Amy Schumer bits, because you know no one is YouTubing Amy Schumer anymore.
I mean, aren't all her bits stolen to begin with?
Well, I mean, steal from the stolen best.
And I mean, it is a part of drag and drag culture. And like, I mean, it's something, the earliest girls, the girls who had some of the most beloved reads, they just cribbed those from Paris is Burning. Like even, you know, I mean, it wasn't, I mean, it's been a read in certain times of the show, but Alaska's Your Makeup is Terrible is just taken from the Queen. Like, it's all, like, so much of drag, RuPaul stole, she already done had hers is from the lady at the fucking food truck. You know, drag has a culture of recycling, but we have gotten to a point where it literally is just, I took somebody's comedy bit and did all of the jokes from it, versus like everybody in our culture says body made wrong. So if I'm the person that gets it out on Drag Race, that's kind of a different thing then like I fully just saw what Nikki Glazer did and did the exact same thing. And you know, I actually really agree with the point of like, we absolutely should talk about who the writers are for these jokes, because, or like just acknowledge like I had really good material. Like I worked on really good material with people, because people will often say they worked with designers. They often don't say who during the show, because that's just free promotion. But they will, they will acknowledge like I worked with a great designer on this dress. I think it's perfectly reasonable to work with joke writers when you're not a joke writer. Come with material, come with stuff. But
I wish the guys would credit the person doing their stuffing for them, because somebody is lovingly putting that sock exactly where it needs to go so that it reacts to the love sense.
No, those are the good interns.
We've all seen the fluffer and thought to ourselves, what straight person wrote this? Yes, it is definitely... It's definitely important to also kind of consider that, like, when we're talking about artistry on this show, something that we like love to credit is the drag mothers, right? There is a certain Scarlet woman who is evidently drag mother to someone who may or may not be appearing in some part of the franchise down the line, if the rumors are to be believed. And you know that person influenced that girl is going to come up nonstop. The drag mother of it comes up so much. And that's even part of what makes Global All-Stars for me really exciting. Like if you have a girl get up there and she's, trapped in the closet, Heidi's drag daughter. You're going to expect her to be funny as shit. You're going to expect her to do some unbelievable splits, and you're going to expect her to be able to pull off dance stuff while being funny. So when she's not funny, you're going to ding her harder. It's like knowing that Sasha Colby can do anything that she wants. I'm going to assume anybody else with the last name Colby is just not living up to the name, because Sasha Colby sets the bar too high. Something these girls all benefit from. With the exception of a handful, we don't know shit about these girls as hyper-American viewers of an international franchise.
And I think it's pretty safe to say overall, most Global All-Stars viewers probably don't know a lot about any girl that isn't English speaking. And even then, like, I know a lot of people who love Drag Race who don't watch Australia or UK. So like the only person they really know is, or Canada. So the only person they really know is Alyssa.
And okay, can I just say that Alyssa this week finally for me was Alyssa. I've liked her performance throughout the season. Liked though, and when you're talking about liked, I have on more than one occasion brought up the fact that the most I've ever spent on a single concert ticket in my life was Janet Jackson. And I literally to this day say to people, like, we went out to dinner with a very cool couple that we love very much. One of those people you can check out actually dancing at the club that the aforementioned, I'm not going to say it for no spoilers, drag queen dance performs at. When we were talking about it, and now I completely circuitously got lost in my train of thought because I got so excited about what a good time I had. Janet Jackson.
You were talking about liking Alyssa.
No, but I'm getting there, I promise. So when I paid the most money I've ever paid for a Janet Jackson show, and 10 years later, I'm still talking about how it was one of the best nights of my life, and I never, ever backed down from that statement. I feel really good about that. I feel the same way about having been lucky enough to see the Drown World Tour at Madison Square Garden. I feel really fucking good about that. I was lucky enough to see Kimbra and Gautier on their world tour when they were supporting somebody that I used to know. Kimbra, I am a lifelong fan. I've met her. I Substack her. I have put money into every endeavor she's done publicly. I walked away a huge non-fan of Gautier and was so underwhelmed by Wally DeBacker's incredibly bored performance. And I paid a lot of money for those tickets. And so I feel like Global All-Stars is a manifestation of a lot of money of fandom. And Alyssa is giving me Wally DeBacker when I thought I'd be getting Janet Jackson. And so I'm glad that this episode she stepped up to Kimbra, but I am still thinking that when you are the most, one of the most paycheck earningest, title commanding, name recognition bearing queens in the history of this industry, I am expecting a little more than, I have no idea why I accidentally started talking in a British accent, couldn't figure out how to start it, but I will admit I did almost uncontrollably cry when she referenced doo-wah. Doo-wah, doo-wah.
Yeah, that is your peak humor, isn't it?
What's really funny is all of my social media feeds have been filled with clips from Race Chasers. Not most recent episode, but one of the most recent ones, which is them covering that episode of Alaska's season, and just Alaska talking about how difficult it was to work with Alyssa because she just was not getting the lines. Like she just was having a really hard time with it. And I thought it was really interesting that timed out for this, where we saw that I just think it's not the way her mind works. And the only reason I'm at all forgiving of it is because I think she does really try and come up with something that works to the best of her ability. And because it's the same thing as RuPaul does not know her own song lyrics on command, doesn't often know them with a guide in front of her. But
the live performer that I would probably equate it to, who I love, who I've loved in other things, but constantly had a similar issue of flubbing lines live. Leslie Jones did not work great for SNL because she could not get that sort of thing that fast, and it's just hard for some people. She's friggin' hysterical,
and she, similar to Alyssa, she would in sketches figure out how to give Leslie Jones, because that's the humor.
Still
and
funny.
Alyssa went from first season with the Buffalo Billies sketch not having it at all. Like she just shade.
I like a little bit of shade. She was not the worst.
She was not the worst, but she was not good, and she was not at her own standard of good. We get to Dua, and it's not drastically better, but she's really giving as much of herself as she can to the performance. She's just not intellectually getting it.
She at least knows to look embarrassed.
She knows to look embarrassed, and she knows to give all of her energy. She's just having a bimbo moment. And here she knows exactly what's going to happen. She knows her style. She is a long-term diva who knows that she shows up late to everything and it annoys the shit out of everyone. She knows that she doesn't know her stuff and she has assistants for it. So how do you account for that? Bring the best Alyssa you can into that situation. And I think she did it. I think it helped that she and Kitty switched accents, and Kitty did the heavy lifting of making that joke funny.
I think I'm going to respectfully disagree. I don't think this was Alyssa's best work. It really reminded me of Dua, maybe even a little worse. Because I think the final product of whatever happened to Baby JJ is actually pretty decent. They were able to cobble together her pretty well. Even if it took her a while to get the lines, even if it took her a while to get everything, the final product, I think, was actually pretty good. Here, I think she was severely overshadowed by Queen and Kitty. I thought Kitty was fine. Queen, I think, is actually overall, I'm fine with Queen winning. I thought she deserved it. She did really well, especially on rewatch, because I rewatched all this, the scenes to make sure, okay, are these my actual opinions of things? Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. And I thought Queen did well, but I feel like Alyssa was being carried a little bit this challenge. And do I think she could have been in the bottom? Potentially. But I don't see this as, I saw the other 4 episodes as Alyssa understanding, this is my 3rd time around, I know what the judges want to say. That's what she said in the Meet the Queens. This is my 3rd time. I know what the judges want to see from me. I've learned and I've grown. And I did not see it in this acting challenge.
Can I just chime in with something you said, JoJo? Actually, while I might feel I think I misrepresented my thoughts. What I meant to say was this episode represented a better side of Alyssa who keeps underwhelming me by behavior at times, not embarrassing me, not letting me down. She's not been like a mean bitch or unlike who I expect her to be, but she hasn't risen the way I thought she would, right? You know, she is the creme de la creme, and like Prince said, cream on top. So I just kept thinking she'd rise, you know? I did think maybe a little better of her performance this episode in terms of the acting challenge than you did, Joj. But one of the things that you really highlighted that is kind of bothering me more than anything this episode is exactly that phrase. She knows what two of these judges want to see. It's not just she knows what, Rue wants. She knows what Rue wants and Michelle wants, and I bet you we can find 20 credits in her history of her working with Jamal. And so now... Carson.
Probably.
So, yeah, I have to imagine that they have the same bathhouse. And so, like, I'm trapped in a position where I don't know that I feel like she's coming in at the same level as anyone else. This is a little bit where we kind of laugh at, this is so stupid, but Billy Madison, right? That's the one where he goes back to elementary school or whatever. Because the humor there is still, he has all of the adult ability, adult experiences, and adult processing time. So the idea of doing what he does is sort of silly. I kind of think putting Alyssa back in a Drag Race competition, this is just as dumb as putting Wolverine in a New Mutants book. It's just like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, that was my
movie. Go ahead.
My feeling in episode 1 was like she feels like a den mother.
Yeah, she feels like a judge.
She should be a mentor. She should be a judge. Because she's gone on like a long time ago at this point. Season 11, she was on the show as like doing Jamal's job, choreographing dances and being very much like mother hen to the younger girls. Her drag daughter was literally in that season where she's choreographing a bunch of the girls. And it's just, I agree with you completely.
And, I don't want to say something too weird, but I thought that one of the things that this runway package showed me was where these girls really wish they could be artistically. So many of the runways leading up to this have been pretty dictated editorially by the expectation of American Drag Race, but this muted color palette in and of itself overwhelmed so much of the challenge, and beyond that, I think it allowed each girl to reflect something very unique. I found myself thrilled with so many of the looks that came down the runway, even where I thought there were flubs and moments where maybe the whole look didn't come together quite the way I wanted it to. I thought each one of these girls took the idea of showing themselves in this challenge and elevated it tenfold. And it's funny because I'm not even like, these girls could tell some other girls what's up. No, I wish this episode could beat up the rest of the episodes from this season so far, because I just felt like everyone, well, except Kitty. I continue to not understand Kitty. You know what? I don't understand Kitty. I'm just going to, for a second, like, I love classic sitcom leading men. I think they are so great. I love your Schwimmers. I love your McCormicks. Give me your Kelsey Grammers and your odd Steven Webbers, right? But I hate Ray Romano's comedy so much, and I just don't get it. But if you ask me, does Ray Romano deserve to be famous? I would probably go, and say it's fine. I think much better of Kitty than that. But I do feel like sometimes the judges, they don't always seem like they're reacting to what's put in front of them. If I crack an egg and throw a tomato at it, you don't get to call it an omelet. And like, I feel like sometimes whatever Kitty does, they're just like, masterpiece. And I don't get it the way it seems like Reddit doesn't understand Queen Kong. You're all incorrect.
Yeah, I've been noticing that too. She really has been getting a lot of hype that, I mean, I don't think she's fine. She's not doing...
Exactly.
She's not doing poorly at all. There's just the reaction a lot of times is really heavy praise. But then, like, weirdly, I do think she did all of the heavy lifting for her team. I think Queen came out better, but I think the whole thing wouldn't have worked without Kitty being kind of the straight man in the humor and playing that role really well. I don't know. It's a weird dynamic overall. And, you know, as Jonah pointed out, there is just that visual of the three English-speaking girls who RuPaul knows versus everybody else.
I think we're really taking a lot of liberties referring to Alyssa as English-speaking.
Yeah, very fair. American-speaking, vaguely. And then to take it back to the point about just the weirdness of the edit, it was so odd for them to keep cutting to Soa, who was clearly about to burst into tears on stage. And they can cut to her at any time, and we don't know that that's her, that that's the time that she's listening to RuPaul. Like, they could have cut to her looking like anything throughout the episode, but they cut when she is clearly the most uncomfortable with her headpiece, and she's having an emotional moment, and then they don't buy it back later with the untucked portion. She does mention that she's emotional, but she really, I thought we were about to do like a reveal of some horrible childhood trauma, because she so seems like she's about to cry. And literally they just could have cut those, the moments of showing her. Like, those added absolutely nothing because they didn't buy it back at any point. They didn't do anything with it. And so it's just this incredibly awkward thing where Ru is like, you are incredibly beautiful. This maybe wasn't the best scene ever, but you did great. That hair is stunning. Just every 5 seconds cutting to her like about to collapse on the stage. I don't know what that edit is.
Speaking of edit, and speaking of childhood trauma, we get a lot of Pythia's story this episode. We get more. And we hear about her talking about her parents and what the strife that came about that, and, you know, how drag helped them sort of repair their relationship. But we didn't really get the storylines of Queen a lot this episode, who won the episode, or Eva, or Gala. It was very bizarre to have these two people be central for the episode, being that they're in the bottom, to then not have more of their development in terms of story. I feel like I didn't really get to know a lot about from this season Eva, and I feel like that's unfortunate and unfair, because normally what happens is, you know, someone getting a little more screen time, or they're talking about, their familyhood or the background or whatever. It's like, oh, okay, they're important to this episode. I also don't know if I appreciate the way the judges, like, they were like, Gala, you were great in the challenge, and we did not really like your outfit. And it's like, cool. And then she's in the bottom, and it's like, but you just said she was great in the challenge. That she also only had, from what we saw, one line. Now, there were no strangers to them cutting lines and things out of acting challenges to make it fit within the time frame or whatever. But they showed her saying one line, and that was it. And okay,
that's a lot from the audience. Yeah, I get you.
You can get away with it a little more if someone's in the top. There were the two notable examples in the forefront of my brain being in season 8, Acid Betty was in the top for the Ruko Empire challenge. When we saw her say one line, she said one line and she was in the top, and they were like, she did amazing. And it's, well, we saw her do one line. What are you talking about? And the other person being Rosé in season 13. But that they had the slight foresight to give Simone a talking head saying, Rosé, I'm having a little trouble staying in character because Rosé is very funny at this role right now. And we, in the the shooting of the trailer and the commercial of the challenge, we see Rosé say lines that that doesn't make the final cut. So like we know they cut things out. It just feels weird. I am just of the mindset, these are your competitors, these are the people you're trying to make look best. Did she really only say one thing and that was it? Or
I want to build on that a little bit, because something that two things. Number one, as a Greek guy who grew up in a Greek house with a Greek family and a Greek dad, I just want to say that Pythia's story is so exactly very Greek. Also, the joke in the reading, anyone who knows me knows that I will like literally ruin a dinner party if you bring up Greek antiquities. I will ruin your dinner party if you bring up Elgin marble. It is breathtaking how severe I can get. So that joke, the only Greek treasure that they don't want back, love it. And I'm saying she's a treasure. But I did feel there was something sort of in the way that there is so much attention to what I'm going to have to call like civil struggles, like really basic stuff here, like family struggles, where this is an international stage and this is the opportunity to talk about rights around the world. And they're shying away so hard. Rue, you could defrack a lot of your fracking behavior by shining lights on other important things around the world. And I feel like the fact that we are focusing so much on, I had a falling out with my family, which very important and very powerful and important to discuss. But like, we can discuss that on every single edition of Drag Race. What we can't discuss on every single edition is worldwide rights and needs for queer people in the countries that this show showcases. So, yeah. And, you know, just to also build on the second thing Jonah said, I do get really frustrated, though, when a show is like, here's an episode where all we talk about is Eva. Eva's backstory, Eva's family, Eva's parents. She's in the bottom. Oh, will she go home? She does. I'm really over that as well. But then you do wind up with situations like this where like Eva got no spotlight this whole show. The one thing she said in the entire season was, I have an entire country relying on me to do well. And then she didn't. So it really comes down to, do you want predictable editing or do you want surprise editing?
And I don't know which one I want. I think I want consistency more than anything else.
That's not RuPaul.
No, it sure is not.
Well,
I want to. I don't know. I guess I don't. At this point, I don't really trust them to move everybody through having an important, complex discussion and then to edit it properly. But then I also just really hate when the discussions that we get are these just kind of surface level, very like not really rising to the complexity of the queen's moments that we get, or like just very rote questions, or like the thing that happens where, you know, eventually somebody gets to Roscoe's or onto Hey Queen or something and explains, as Kelly Mantle did, about having to try and talk to Vivacious about what it was like being gay in Jamaica, and they tried to drown her in the river. And you know, Kelly's trying to get her makeup on. There's so many times where people are like, yeah, like, I don't know, it was the worst challenge we were doing, and I was so late on my makeup, and my producer just kept telling me I have to talk to Valentina about what Southern LA is like, or Southern California is like. And it's just like, oh, okay, like it was very clear when we saw these moments that they just were as inauthentic as they felt. And I sort of wonder, you know, we've been having a lot of fun having some episodes where we just kind of riff. We have some very light ideas about what we're going to talk about, but we just kind of talk. And having watched some of them back, I know I could cut 5 or 6 segments that are 2 to 5 minutes long that are coherent and interesting. And these artists sitting around all day, and this is specifically like one of few places where they're actually allowed to talk anyway, because they specifically, the production team doesn't want to miss anything they say. So, you know, they ask them not really to talk in the van. They stay alone in their rooms. You know, I have to imagine if not prompted to talk about stuff in this very inauthentic way, they might actually just end up organically having interesting conversations that are worth editing, because that's what people do when they're together and they love their craft and they want to talk.
And it's even more when you understand each other's vibe. And that was something that I felt like we felt was missing from the first few episodes. That understanding, that was, speaking of those sorts of episodes, we talked yesterday about the definition of a horror movie. What is a horror movie and what is a movie with horror vibes? Right. Obviously, Nightmare on Elm Street is a horror movie and is scary. Leprechaun is a horror movie that is not scary. Coraline is a horror movie that isn't scary but is terrifying. So you have these things where it's like horror vibes, and so like when you know the vibe of something, it works really well, even if it's not what you're expecting. When you have no idea what you're sitting with, it's so difficult to process it. And we sort of discussed how that was my relationship with The Vitch, which I thought when we saw it was the worst movie ever, and then shortly thereafter I thought it was the best movie in the world. And so I feel like that's how these girls feel about each other. They started out being like, I don't speak your language. You're a type of horror I don't understand. And now they've gotten to a place where they understand each other so much that seeing Tessa and seeing, Tessa and Gala, who I think are two of the most beautiful people to ever be on a franchise of Drag Race. Yet they're so beautiful in different ways, and they so clearly represent different kinds of drag. Seeing how two people I find very attractive kind of evolve to be more with one another it's sort of interesting, because I pay attention to their faces a little bit differently because I'm drawn to their faces. Whereas somebody like Queen, who is, again, in my top 10 of all time in any franchise ever, Down Under season 2 is, in my opinion, like one of the best seasons of any version of the franchise ever. And I study what Queen does on this show. I like really pay attention to her and the way she moves, because she fascinates me. I think she's one of the most talented performers we've ever had. And seeing her and Alyssa, seeing these two people who are greats of what they do, but they're treated very differently because they're from different worlds, seeing them fuse together in this way because now they know each other, they can be funny together. It is a true reminder of exactly what you were saying, TK. When the art is what's important, you find ways to be beautiful together, and I really loved it.
I just wish the show had a way to feature that a little better.
And that's actually kind of, I think, the heart of why we keep asking for things like lip sync challenge episodes or comedy challenge seasons, where we want to see the art become the focal point, not the randomness of the girls.
Something that we have discussed is how we feel about whether or not this show is in a lot of ways just testing the ground for any future of this show, and a lot relying on the concept of there will be a Global All-Stars 2 guaranteed. Do you think that's affecting any of this either? The idea that, yeah, this is shaky, but it might be stronger for Global All-Stars 2.
I think wow, what a great question, Kevo, because one of the things that it leaves me really excited about when I think about Global All-Stars 2 is I feel like Global All-Stars 1 is a burn it down, melt you down disaster. Even though I think it's turned out really well, this is not what they promised on the tin. And TK, you and I had such a great conversation about this earlier today, where I was talking about how if you look back at to sort of expand it a little bit, the original trailer for Alien 3 is Alien is going somewhere it's never gone before. And it slowly pans over a sunrise onto the planet Earth. Never happened in Alien 3. The number of trailers for Kingdom Hearts 3 that have footage that never wound up in Kingdom Hearts 3. The original trailers for Final Fantasy VII Remake have so much footage that never makes it in. When you start something, 3 and 4 and 5 years before it comes out, you wind up pitching a product that is so different than what you release. Global All-Stars was promised to me as the Olympics of Drag Race, and instead, what I'm getting in some cases, and I certainly don't mean this about the girls, but rather about the finalized product, is kind of the puppy bowl. I was promised something as cool as the best version of this thing, just cute and to the side, and what I'm getting is sort of just bored.
Yeah, I mean, I can't add a ton to that because that just kind of is the case.
But where it does leave me excited is for not just the future of Drag Race, but the future of what we've got coming up. I know a couple of weeks ago, Kevo, we had a date image at one point. We might still have it floating around, but we've got seasons of UK coming up. I know they had a Meet the Queens drop. We have another season of Down Under coming up in which Michelle Visage will be the main host. We have the guaranteed 10th season of All Stars. We have the guaranteed 17th season of Drag Race. And I'm begging for a greater diversity of girl, but what I am maybe praying for is that they will just lean into a musical theater season, a fashion girls season. And I know why that is bad for the brand overall. So maybe what you need to do is, instead of just saying the first episode is everybody drops their single, I'm so sorry, I mean everybody do a talent show. Part of why that maybe has to stop is because it's just nonsense. Everybody is doing the same bad Ciara track. I can't take it anymore. And I want to see, well, we've split it by what the girls are talented at. These 6 girls want to do a dance number. These 6 girls want to do their own song. And these 6 girls want to do humor. We're going to split this into 3 talent shows. And we're going to make it an event. And like, I would be grateful to put in a weird wasted week rather than continue to see these girls feel like they are driven to the middle of the road. I just can't keep watching people sacrifice what makes their talent unique to fit a bigger picture. That's not what made Stephanie work. And now look at her. She's Miss Stephanie Gaga. And we all just think she's amazing. And she's going to be Harley Quinn. And I just need to say real quick, for Halloween, I am seeing Cyndi Lauper at Madison Square Garden. And I am dressing up as Harley Quinn to see Cyndi Lauper at Madison Square Garden. And I am really excited. But if you're asking me if I ever thought the second DC character I would ever cosplay would be Harley Quinn, the answer is no.
Harley Quinn is very Lauper coded.
Yeah, and that's why I'm doing it, because that feels to me like the best thing.
But who would be her Joker? Who's her Joker? Sean Penn? Is that the era? I don't even know.
Well,
No.
I mean, if you're speaking of people who are intentionally insanely violent toward women, yeah, definitely Sean Penn. But my date is in fact dressing up as the Joker, so it is a cute look. Yeah, I'm really excited though. I really am. I am definitely Daddy's little monster. So
We will expect many photos.
oh, there will be too many photos. I'm really excited to be like, but it's gonna be like a boy Harley. It's like Harley, like the guy that used to be on Sean Cody, not like, So anyway,
Is that the one that
Doesn't
lost his
Harley
legs?
in like her little bird squad have like one dude on her team?
wait, hold on. I have to look into that one. What was Jesus?
Lost
TK,
narrative.
What was that? What was that, Jonah?
Doesn't Harley have a boy on her Birds of Prey squad? She's got like one.
She does. I'm
He's
sure.
like, he wears green.
Right, but I'm the protagonist. I'm gonna be Harley. And
You do that.
But speaking of these girls dressing up as all the things we want to see them dress up as, something that has definitely been on my mind more and more as we're watching this season is where they can take All Stars. All Stars, girl, you are used up. It is that moment where you just come to realize All Stars doesn't even mean some stars anymore. I think there's a lot of ways. I was watching this great review that said that Romulus broke Alien forever because it proved that you can go any point that's already been explored and you never have to do anything new ever again. and you made one of the best alien movies ever doing it. So you completely disavowed the need to evolve the franchise about evolution ever again. Great job. And yeah, obviously you can be pretty flip. Also, I just want to say timescales. I love seeing that you had a positive experience with Cyndi Lauper. I know at least one other person has as well. And as a New York-based boy, I do love hearing that the world's greatest New York-based gal, who is one of the most Tony winningest people of the last 20 years. I just love hearing more great stories about her. And she has one of my favorite Project Runway moments of all time. The greatest Project Runway winner of all time, Jeffrey Mack, who designed the jacket that Candy wore to lose All Stars.
Yes. That's right.
Jeffrey Mack got to hug Cyndi Lauper in an episode of Project Runway, and it was great.
She was great in her cameo on 30 Rock, and she was great in her cameo on Queer as Folk.
She's an amazing recurring character on Bones as well. So,
oh my gosh, yes, she is. That's so right.
She basically
did not
plays.
Know we were such huge Cyndi Lauper acting fans.
And actually, my favorite Cyndi Lauper performance of all time to this day is still Mad About You. So,
she's one of the drunk ones. God bless.
I feel like as we look to the future of the franchise, and I feel like there's a point at which All Stars needs to move the barometer. I don't know if it needs to start with a Legends of the Hidden Temple style. Okay, guys, you're moving down the steps. Rumac is going to keep giving you guys questions. It's me, Michelle Visage. I'm here in a safari outfit, and I'm going to be asking you these questions. Okay. I don't know if that's what it's going to take, but I'm really hoping at some point we do like a global gut style. Kick it over to Ross. Ross. Okay, well, the girls are going to be climbing.
I'm over here at the passive aggro crag. Thank you.
That's your guts. Anyway, these mows. I don't know. I feel like one of the things, and I miss Tori being on the show. It's super bummer that she's not here being drag excellence. But one of the things that the show is going to continue to take to keep evolving is a stronger sense of what it means to be a queen. As a guy who one of his drag king masks is right over here, I would love to see drag king based challenges. I know we could never make a whole season because we don't really do the big fashion quite the same way. But I would really love to see this open up in the future. So what would you guys like to see if you were the Olympics and somebody said to you, add a new sport, and you add, I don't know, e-games, which I think the fact that the Olympics don't think that e-games are a brain sport yet is a real loss to the quality of what professional competition has become. There's a whole lot of ways to compete, and not all of them involve being fully able-bodied in the same way. And they are still athletes in every sense of the sense, right? So what would you guys like to see explore and open up the future seasons? For me, not to be a dick, but yeah, Gottmik, thank you. Gottmik, thank you so much for always being brave and always being cool and always doing something different. You played guitar so badly on this past season of All Stars that it's sort of Monet singing badly as an opera star. And if it weren't for Monet, what?
Girl soak what up?
I mean, if Monet hadn't sang so poor, I mean, again, I saw Monet sing opera live, and it was one of the greatest experiences. It's up there with Janet Jackson, no lie. And then I got to see Monet sing with Saphira, who could not have done what she did for her talent show if Monet hadn't made it cool. And Jonah, I will never forget picking you up after one of your last treatments, taking you home, and you playing Monet for me in the car. And it being one of the things that led me to watching the show. It changed everything and made life better. And I feel like Gottmik playing live, no matter what it cost Gottmik, inspires the future. What do you guys think about the future of Drag Race and competition?
I do think it really might be specializing. As you pointed out, it's tough for the franchise to not do just really general challenges, but we now just drag as an art form is so huge and involves so many people that finding 12 instrument players who do drag is not that's not like finding 12 is not a problem. You can therefore find 12 great when you can select picking the 12 girls that everybody in the pageant scene is most excited about, the girls that are winning the pageants throughout the country, that are making a name for themselves, and then do that. You know, there's comedy, you name it, you can specialize. And I really think that is the future a little bit, just because I don't think I know anything about anybody's talent from Boobie.
Jonah, what you think?
I'm not sure. I'm always hopeful. I'm always grateful. I'm always excited for whenever there's a new season of something that's exciting, whether it be an All-Stars, you know, whatever it may be. I always get excited because, like I said a little while ago, this is a show by us for us, and you can always opt into what you do when you don't want to watch. I get nervous because there's so much content and because there's so much churning out. I feel like we're seeing the MCU-ification of Drag Race, where because there's so much that they're putting out, that maybe some of the quality of certain challenges or certain aspects of it aren't where we want them to be or what we expect them to be. I do hope that they see what people are saying about this global All-Stars and where the problems are, and it's not because it's bad. I quite frankly, this is a very entertaining season, and I'm having a great time watching it and learning about all these girls. It's more of someone between the editing team and the producing team are not talking to one another because the edit is not matching what production's choices are. And I say this often, I think production works best with an invisible hand when we don't know that they're working, when we don't know that they're doing what they're doing. That's when I know it's at their best. But this season feels like a lot of production choices where it almost comes across like some of the girls are a little disheartened, and that might prevent other girls who are, you know, top tier threats for an all-star season to not want to come back. And I always want people who are top tier threats to feel like they can come back, because though they are, I won't say often, but most of the time they are people who are entertaining. They almost won, and you can't get that far without not being entertaining. So I'm always excited, but with this season, I hope that they take a moment to reflect of like what is going wrong in the eyes of the fans.
And I think I would only say it for me is a matter of specifically where the hand is visible in the production. I feel like there needs to be a little less meddling in trying to goad interactions between the girls, and a little bit more focus, like we're saying, on what they're doing with these challenges. I think that they need to make sure that the ones that they are doing are more focused, and like we're saying, maybe try and be a little bit bolder with them as well, and take that into more consideration with how much work is going into production. Because by this point, the cart pretty much drives itself on stuff like these people show up knowing pretty much how to behave, hugely what to expect, and are looking to have these interactions and looking to create this sort of story for the cameras. So I think the producers, what they need to be focusing on then are the challenges. Like, I laughed and we were joking about the idea of them doing a Hidden Temple Global Guts style, but like that would be entertaining and it would be different. That's for damn sure. And so I think a little bit more throwing these girls in water tanks and, you know, really pulling out all the stops on the challenges that we're putting them through would go a long way.
I was so excited about replying, but I was on mute. And I feel like that's even one of the things that we're asking for. We're asking for fandom to be listened to in a way that, like, Drag Race is unique to the world, like so few things are. It is a sport-like competition that asks us to pledge our fandom. And you know, it's something that I'm really coming to learn more and more about myself. I actually like putting my money where my mouth is. I like manning up or womaning up, or what is it? Oh God, what does Margot say? What does Margot say?
Ovary up.
Ovary up. I like to ovary up, and like, you know, TK and I have been pushing it on the show a little bit lately, but we love Magnus Archive and Magnus Protocol, and I wanted to catch up on Magnus Protocol, and TK sent me the link, and the first thing I said was, yep, can't wait to subscribe. And I saw there were a couple of tiers, and the first thing I did was I subscribed to the tier that gave me everything immediately, no ads, because I wanted to be part of that. And I am telling you right the fuck now, if Safira Cristal, who, by the way, everybody, she just dropped her first single. It is going to be major airplay around the country. If you don't get your ass on Safira's everything and make her dreams come true, you clearly do not believe in the future of drag excellence. Or maybe you just have bad taste. I can't help you. But one of the things is, if Safira had a thing where I could get the new single once a month, for $5 a month, oh man, I would never break that subscription. And I would probably, for the right person, for Tori Amos, I would do $10 a month if it got me a bootleg every month. For Mariah Carey, probably not. And I'll tell you why not for Mariah Carey. She's worth $545 million and she has 7 yachts. Sorry about it, but when your yachts outnumber my cars and houses combined, you don't get to Patreon.
You have a naval fleet.
Yeah. And that's even part of where I'm thinking a little bit more creatively about how to spend my money and support other creators. I wish a lot of these girls felt comfortable Patreoning. I wish they felt like good being like out there, support me, make my dreams come true. I would also even love Ko-Fi. Is it Ko-Fi or Ko-Fi? I thought it was like coffee.
It is. People I've heard. Well, I started saying Kofi because of Magnus Protocol.
Okay.
The one with the guy with the horror blog.
Yes.
he says you can support my Kofi.
Kofi.
Yes, I was saying coffee agree. Before that because I believe the original thing was like
buy me a cup. Exactly.
Yes. But I've only heard Kofi, and the last time I heard it was on that episode of Magnus Protocol. So I've been saying Kofi.
I would buy if I could Kofi or coffee, Thorgy. I would buy Thorgy a set of whatever the violin equivalent of Elixir strings is. I would buy Monet a pop filter because Mama got a big fucking mouth, and so she's got to make as many spit sounds as I do out of my big fucking mouth. So I know how vital a pop filter is. So that would be how I like, you know what I mean? Like if I could know what I was doing, I would feel so in control of driving that car. And that's something I want to feel heard on. So like if Pathia wanted to be like, I need art supplies, you could contribute to my art supply fund and you will get a piece of art. If Safira said you could contribute to my overall thing and you get early access to singles, but you can add this $3 extra a month package and you get a bonus demo, I'd add that. And like, that is what I'm hoping that the future does lead to, that things like Drag Race, where each one of these girls are their own sport and like each season is its own sport. Each girl is their own team in the league. I would love to be able to buy the jersey or the hat or the season ticket. And that's what I think is that's the Patreon evolution that these girls all deserve. Every one of them is an industry.
Not just Patreon, but like I've often compared our interest and dissection of this show to sports commentary more than anything. And I think adding that element to it, it's in many ways an athletic competition. And I think drawing that comparison even further would be really interesting. And like you said, lead to a lot of interesting avenues.
part of what I'm really hoping for more than anything is that we are living in a world where, like, it sounds so silly, but I get to stand next to some of my personal heroes when I'm on stage. And you know, like anybody who's never had the opportunity to see Demanda Martini do what she does, just to make a connection to a Drag Race alum, you know, the ever friendly Dax exclamation point, has a great professional relationship with Demanda. You can see the two of them perform together a bunch. And you know, when you talk about like I write for Demanda because I love to write for Demanda. So like I harass her with, like, I literally flood her inbox with songs, right? Like I'm like, do you want to do this? You want to sing this? You want to arrange that? Because like I've met an artist that I love so much that I want to be a part of her success, because I'm sure her success is something that will bring me joy. And I feel like we're at a point where we're seeing girls start out on the show and then go on to have massive careers, maybe not intersect back with all stars, but something that I'm a little bit nervous about after the transition from 14 to 15 to 16 is I'm really concerned that perhaps 17 won't have its focus on new and emerging voices in drag. And maybe they're going to say, who's the next Sasha Colby? Who's the next Willow Pill? Who's the next Bosco? Who's the next? These incredibly unique voices in the industry who have already come before and been showcased on the series. And now we're just going to get their iterants, not new, fresh voices. And that's maybe where Global All-Stars has me the most nervous. This was your chance to break free of that. And instead, you are shying away from highlighting what makes all of these girls one of a kind in favor of making them all seem kind of homogenous. And that's the wrong homo for this showmo.
Oh, show, though.
You know, so I would love to get everybody's final thoughts before we wrap this beautiful queen of an episode up and get ourselves over to the next. Does anybody remember what next week's challenge is? I don't feel like I remember.
I don't usually watch the previews anymore. I'm always, it's the same. We were talking.
It's going to be a design challenge where they're making cocktail dresses.
Thank you. I totally forgot. Great, it's a design challenge. Those are always really interesting to watch.
They're making cocktail dresses.
Oh wow, what a fascinating take.
This is always death.
Okay. Becomes her.
This is what I'm saying. Like, this is like not where you do a design challenge. This is where you do a talent show. This is where you do. It's toward the end. This is when people are starting to feel the fatigue and dropping out of the show. This is when you need to drive them back before the finale.
We have 9 left. Is it?
No, that's too many. I won't make it.
Because I'm like, are we going to get Snatch Game, and if so, when? Because I'm thinking about what else are staples that are left, since we're mostly just getting staples.
I almost said we had Snatch Game the Rusical, but then I remembered that was Canada versus the World, which came too close to Global All-Stars to feel like they each had their own unique flavor. This just sort of feels like the Canada versus the World spinoff, The World. And so, like, it just doesn't have the vibe I wanted. What a bummer.
Yeah, same.
Jojo, TK, what you got?
I don't know. I don't have a ton more to say about Global All-Stars at this point. We're here. We're having the most fun that we can have. I really am going to miss Eva. I did not think she did the worst this week. I did not think she lost that lip sync. I thought that was a fantastic look. And then I thought her lip sync look was just really great. I don't really get what happened here, but I love her so much. I really thought she was a contender for the crown, and I will miss her a ton. Love Galavaro. Wish her all the best. Hope she keeps slaying. That's all I have to say about that.
What you got, Jonah?
One, congratulations to Queen Kong. Especially on rewatch, I was like, yeah, no, her winning makes sense to me. That I'd give 100% props to. That makes sense. I don't know about the rest of the decisions. But that being said, I also will miss Eva a lot. I was really into swords right now, and I don't know. She took down Mega Charizard X. She literally said to Nintendo, "No more Charizard favoritism. No more, honey. We're done with it." And for that, we have to stand.
And I am so excited to see where this season goes, because I think a lot of us had Eva in our top 4, and to see her go so early, to see the Nehelenia redemption arc this episode, where the queens were like, "Look, we get it. She really felt lost." I don't mean to be disgusting the den kind of boy, but man, whatever Tessa wants to say to me, it's super sexy. She can have whatever she wants. Woof. But like, that's even part of where I don't understand what Tessa's actually bringing artistically, because while I appreciate her, it feels like the judges don't, and it feels like they are putting her down a lot. So I'm eager to see what is judging, what is production, and I'm eager to see where it all goes, because if there really are 9 episodes left, there is a ton of room for these girls to rise above and beyond. All right, Jonah, I do just want to say, those of you who don't know Jonah, you don't know how funny he can be personally, and I am really proud of all of the haha funny work he put in. He and I collaborated on something really recently, and I am quite proud of this guy. So, while it is impossible to see him turn red under the amount of beard he has, no, really, his entire face is just one big beard.
Look at the Muppet.
Look at the Muppet. You can all be sure that this guy made me laugh all week long. Where can everybody find you if they want to giggle along?
If you want some funny ha-has, some dirty, you can follow me over on places at Peak Jonah.
And it is so exciting to get to share this drag race time with you. Like I said, you pushed us to watching this, and it clearly changed everything for everybody here. But beyond that, I do just also want to say it changed everything for our very own Tori, who is not with us today. But as always, we do love everything she brings to the show. However, speaking of the show, some of us are here tonight. And one of those people is Kevo. Kevo, you threw together 2 broadcasts in seriously 30 hours. Cannot believe what you accomplished. Thank you so much. And just where can everybody find you online if they want to check out all the awesome shit you're a part of?
That, as we are continuing to mainline the Grainiverse, we are into season 2 of Station 19, and we are just powering forward. This has been a fun summer for that. It was a fun summer for broadcasts for our channel. We discussed a lot of really cool things, a lot of cool movies, and we have cool things to look forward to in the fall. We're going to look at some horror. We're going to look at a whole bunch of different stuff. So definitely stay tuned in, and you can check me out on the socials at Kevoreally. That's Kevoreally. Back to you, sir.
There is a human being, if he is even that thing anymore, perhaps he has evolved past it, who manages to do this dumb fucking thing of looking at my face and talking to me a little bit more than anybody else online. Of course, Kevo takes that gold medal in person, but TK, you really podcast and vlogcast with me more than any human being can survive. And I just think it's amazing that you are not yet beyond us. And we get to do our comic broadcast, usually Wednesdays, sometimes Thursdays. We're doing some really exciting things with that, and I'm really looking forward to going a little bit further with it. But I wanted to ask you, since we also do some music stuff, have you ever seen Eminem's Marvel drawings?
No.
Were you aware that Eminem is an unbelievable pencil artist? And
Of course.
has studied Jack Kirby extensively, and that is why superheroes and comic books pop up in all of his music videos, because they are one of the greatest influences on his life.
I really was not. I'm seeing these now. That's very fucking wild.
Can you believe what a fucking incredible penciler he is?
Yep, that's a really good Wolverine. That's a really good Spider-Man.
His Hulk is the best thing he's drawn. Oh my god, his Hulk is unbelievable.
Has he actually ever drawn an issue?
No, he just does this for fun since he's a kid. This is how he lets out his rage.
Wow. I wonder what the collection looks like.
Yes.
Wow, that's wild. Great.
I don't think so.
Great way to end the broadcast. If you would like to talk to me about Eminem's Marvel drawings, I will be on Twitter or Instagram to discuss this at TK Elemental. Nico, our fearless leader, take it away. Take us out.
You guys can find me at Nico Action, NICOACTION. You guys can find me at Nico Action Music, NICOACTION MUSIC. You guys can find me dreaming about making out with Lemon, and you guys can find me all over this network. X is for show, X is for podcast, and more places. But more than anything, you guys can find me hoping that you guys like, comment, and subscribe for me and for yourselves. Number one, do me a favor, stay safe. Super important. It's a crazy world out there. But number two, you got to be brave. It's spooky season, and we're going to be covering a lot of spooky stuff, so you better be ready for the scares. But number three, evolve daily. Who you were yesterday, we love it. Who you are today, we could not be prouder. But who you are tomorrow, that's the dream. And until we get to celebrate who you are then with you, we'll see ya.